Yo, Molo Sanbonani, hello, how's it, shalom, good afternoon, and welcome to another vlog here on the BDL show. We're going to be very brief because, again, this is one of those issues which is an ongoing issue, and I will be showcasing people, individuals, organizations that are beginning to fight back on your behalf, organizations that recognize and appreciate the value and the intrinsic importance of your freedom, of your very liberties, the very thing that the political elites and really those politicians who have been drunk on power are dead set on not having you enjoy. That is your freedom, your liberty, and indeed your basic rights in what should be a functional democracy. I'm not alone as I seek to unpack this issue of how do we bring to an end the National Coronavirus Command Council, that is the NCCC, the very space that one Squirrel, an AssHat, and of course a Buffalo Bill call the shots in a unaccountable manner. So we're going to have that conversation and indeed zoom in on the action that has been taken by a wonderful organization, really the organization that is at the forefront of fighting and defending your freedoms. I'm talking, of course, about the Institute of Race Relations. In that regard, before I get going, I'm aware of the fact that this vlog is coming out at a very short notice. Please, as you join the stream or as you watch this as a recording, please hit that like button. Help this video get out to as many South Africans as possible so that they can join this campaign to end the NCCC. Welcome to it. This is vlog 127, if I'm not mistaken. My name is Sihle Ngobese, aka Big Daddy Liberty, and I'm joined, of course, as I said, I'm not alone. I'm joined by Gabriel Crouse, who's the head of campaigns at the Institute of Race Relations. I'm going to bring him on screen. There he is right there. Gabriel, good afternoon. Welcome to Vlog 127.
How's it, Sihle? It's really good to be here. And all the best for 2022, eh?
Absolutely, to you too, my brother. And let's begin that conversation by discussing something which would make 2022 one of the best years indeed, and that is ending this asinine organization, this cabal, if you will, a vanguard, as they'll probably want to see themselves, the crooked lefty Marxists that they are, of the National Coronavirus Command Council, or the NCCC. Gabriel, before we get into the how, insofar as ending it, let's remind ourselves as to what this NCCC is and what powers it has usurped for itself.
So the Command Council draws its powers neither from the Constitution nor from any law in the statute books. It is an invention that happened on March 15th, roughly 2020, invented by the president and by the Kokta Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, who acts as the de facto Prime Minister of the Command Council. What the Command Council is capacitated to do is make the law of the land. So it has the ability to decide when the state of disaster will continue, when it will stop. And as long as there's a state of disaster, it can decide when you go to sleep or when you have to stay inside your home, when you can go outside, whether you can buy hot chicken but not takeaways, open-toed shoes and not bikinis, whether you can go on the beach but not on the grass. It has decided all of these things that I don't really need to tell any of your listeners about because we've lived through it. Right now, the Command Council is like a dragon hiding in its lair. It has withdrawn its fangs and its teeth and its claws and its smoky, fiery breath, and you can just see the last vestiges kind of emanate from the cave mouth because of public pressure. Department of Health Minister Joe Phaahla conceded that public pressure has finally gotten the Department of Health to admit they need to start thinking about how to end the state of disaster. They'll be meeting with the Coronavirus Command Council this week, possibly today, and to talk about the how. But the what, in 2 words, I would call it a rudimentary dictatorship. And I've used that both in the technical and ancient sense of the word. Every time in ancient Rome, for example, the first true dictatorship, how was it established? Well, they had a parliament, as they called it, a Senate, a place where people elected representatives who would make the rules and the laws, and they'd have to explain themselves to the people and compete for votes and so on. And then there was a bit of an emergency, and they said, "Oh, we can't deal with this in an emergency, so let's set up a dictator." And then the dictator said, "Okay, the emergency is over, but it's not really over. What if it comes back?" And then he stuck around and he stuck around. And about 400-500 years later, he was still sticking around. And eventually the whole society collapsed into ash. The same thing happened in Europe in the 20th century with the rise of every dictatorship. Basically, you had emergency powers used to take parliament away and or take some of parliament's powers away, grant some part of the executive authority a superpower to make the law of the land on an indefinite basis. That is the formula for long-term dictatorship. Right now, it's still rudimentary. That just means early. That means it's like uncooked. But that's where it's going. That's why we have to stop it. That's already where it's been in terms of the irrational regulations that they meted out. And I think it's really not an exaggeration to say that in quite a substantial way, this has been the greatest threat to South African constitutional democracy. More than burning buildings, even more than stealing money, although, of course, it has been involved with stealing money. Because this is stealing power. This is stealing power from Parliament and putting it in the hands, in a superpower of a command council. I mean, it's in the name.
Absolutely. And again, that's an apt description. And I like that play on the imagery of this being a dragon sort of in its lair. Let's call it the desolation, therefore, of not Smaug, but of AssHat. I don't know what you call it, but insofar as
smug politicians.
There we go. The desolation of smug politicians. And indeed, we need to have a strong conversation as South Africans. And I'm happy that the Institute of Race Relations is leading the charge in that regard, insofar as how do we dismantle this dragon? How do we, as it sits on its pile of gold, quite literally the imagery of this current coronavirus command council also, given the grifting it has done, given the grifting. When I say grifting, people often go, what do you mean grifting, Big Daddy? Well, in reality, it has misled people. By misleading people, it has appropriated power and indeed even financial resources for itself and its cronies in the political elites. Hashtag the COVID grift. How do we end, therefore, Gabriel, the National Coronavirus Council? What action has the IRR taken?
So the foremost action is the petition, which makes 3 basic demands. 1, end the state of disaster, because that's where they source their superpower. 2, disband the command council. Once you've ended the state of disaster, you will have disbanded the command council. 3, fix the Disaster Management Act, which is the law under which this has all taken place, so that never again can power be stolen from Parliament without Parliament having the ability and the requirement to take it back or at least reevaluate the situation. In pretty much every country you'd want to compare us to, every stable constitutional democracy, either Parliament needs to vote to create emergency powers or first the executive can take it. But in every case, Parliament has to vote to extend it. And in South Africa, for an actual state of emergency, which grants the same kinds of powers that are being granted here, Parliament not only has to vote for it, but from the second extension, or the third extension technically, has to vote for it with a super majority, so that opposition parties have even more room to block the thing if it's being abused by the ruling party. So those are the 3 basic demands. 16,000 plus ordinary South Africans. In fact, at this stage, it's pushing on 20,000. I think it is already actually 20,000, but I can't confirm that. It was 16,000 on Friday when we submitted the first round of the petitions to the union buildings and to the Cocktail Ministry.
Excellent.
Let's keep building that up so that they do not extend it again. They extended it on Saturday for another month. So we've got another 3.5 weeks to stop them from extending it a further time, to return Parliament to business and get South Africans the best chance of operating in a genuine free market constitutional democracy. The first thing we need to do to fix all the other problems is fix this problem, because it's right at the beginning of how democracy works.
Absolutely. Gabriel, as we end the stream, we've run out of time completely. How do the folks actually get involved with that campaign, get their name on this petition, and begin that fight against the NCCC?
Go to irr.org.za or go to the Daily Friend. It'll be the first thing you see on the homepage at irr.org.za, or on the Daily Friend, you'll see various links attached to articles about lies that government officials have told about the coronavirus and excuses that they've made for taking away freedom in order to supposedly beat the pandemic, but really just steal power and stuff their pockets. So
Absolutely.
you check it out anywhere there, and that'll take you through to the link. You'll see our demands, you'll see our arguments, you'll see our factual basis, our principled basis. You'll see how many prominent South Africans have already joined this thing. You put your name to it, and we will go and apply the pressure. This is going to end two ways: the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is they give in. The hard way is they get forced to court and they get taken out like that. But that'll take much longer. Let's finish it now with the petition.
That's Gabriel Crouse from the Institute of Race Relations. He heads up their campaigns there, and you heard it from him as to how you can get involved in this campaign. Critically important. Big thanks to Gabriel, and indeed we'll push that message here on the BDL show. In fact, we'll repeat it tonight on the BDL show at 7:30 p.m. because this is the fight of our time right now. I can't even add anything more to that. Gabriel has actually said it all. Make sure you find that petition, or rather that sign your name rather to that campaign at irr.org.za, or find them on the Daily Friend. That's your site for all news, analysis, and opinion at www.dailyfriend.co.za. Big thanks once again to Gabriel, and thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, please, before you exit. I'll see you again in a few minutes at 3 p.m. today as I bring another organization, Sakelecha. I'll have the CEO of that organization, and he's going to talk to us about the action they're taking to not only end the NCCC, but also just to end the lockdown. Their particular focus is on ending the lockdown, and they've taken action in that regard. This is the Fight Back. Be a part of it. This is the BDL show. I'll see you again at 3 p.m. And until then, never trust a commie.